Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we're going to be talking Stranger Things Season 2, Chapters 5, Big Doug, and Chapter 6, The Spy. And joining me today is someone who was on Episode Club a little bit ago, but never for Stranger Things. So, special guest Lauren, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi everyone, I am Lauren. I'm from Lauren's Corner. I do a lot of poetry, I do interviews, I do book reviews and all kinds of stuff. You can find me at Lauren's Corner. You can find me on Twitter at Catalica and a bunch of other places. And I'm so glad to be here with you, Sasa, doing Stranger Things. I have not watched Stranger Things for quite some time, and it was a revelation and some PTSD all at the same time. So thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So, we have just a few people in the chat, but more people will show up later. We have Johnny, Johnny Be Crazy. I don't know who he is, but he's also in the chat, as well as Phantom D Saint, who I believe is also someone I don't know, but he'll be coming in
For
soon.
emptiest of wallets.
Yeah. And Terry T, as well as Lauren, is in the chat. So we asked this of everybody who was on before. So tell me a bit about your Stranger Things. Did you watch it when it first came out? Were you a catcher upper, or did you, how did you get to know / involve yourself with Stranger Things?
I watched it when it first came out on Netflix. I wasn't entirely sure about it at first. I know I had some like very 80s nostalgia vibe and a bit of Stephen King mixed in there and a bunch of other things from that kind of era. But when I started watching it, my brain was just like alight with nostalgia and like seeing all the choppers and then just being transported back to the time where nobody had a mobile phone and how your mum had to shout you in for dinner. She'd just stick her head out the door and shout your name and hope you heard her, that you were close enough. And that just the music, the styles, the cars. Oh my God, the cars. It just reminds me of my dad's cars that he's had. And just like, because I'm old enough, just about old enough to remember that kind of era. And it really kind of hit home, and I binged watched the whole thing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then season 2 rolled round, and then it was even more love, but still, I don't know. There's other stuff in there that happened throughout, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But yes, I watched it from the beginning.
Yeah, because everybody knows it, or if they're new, I'm a catcher upper, obviously. I saw stuff on Instagram and like Twitter, Facebook about it, but never got like fully into it till like pretty much recently. So these two episodes, they kind of go together nicely, so we can kind of just flow through the conversation almost. So we got Mike and Will and like Joyce and Hopper. So we kind of start the episode with Hopper, and he's kind of gone down into the upside down, and he gets like kind of wrapped up in the upside down, kind of what a lot of the not a lot, but like Barb got kind of involved with that as well as Will, and basically we get Mike and Will trying to look for Hopper, and Joyce as well, because they got the maps, what they presume is like a map, all over the house, which would bother me so much because I'd be like, what is this? But yeah, like Mike and Will's kind of adventures in this beginning of this episode, because yeah, we get, and then there's Bob too, because
Bob,
clueless Bob.
oh Bob, no Bob. People who have already watched that will know exactly why I'm doing that, but I know Sasa has to kind of catch up a little, so I'm trying not to spoil much. But I think we all know the characters we love nowadays don't last very long. So yeah, So we start out with Hopper, kind of looking at this field, and he ends up underground. Gets knocked out, and then slowly things start to escalate, and then we're brought round to Will, who's got this connection going on with the monster, or the main demigorgon as it's known, and has visions, and that's how he's creating all these maps around the house. And by the way, his mother, right, top mum right there, doesn't even just take him straight to the mental asylum, just like, no, I'm going to piece these pictures together, make a puzzle, and see what happens. And happens to do it really quite accurately at that, which it was quite impressive to see. And considering this is set during the 80s, it's just seen as kind of, within her, in the context, it seems normal. I don't think anyone else's mum would be like that, unless they were as keen to sort out what was wrong with their child without going down a purely medical route. And then having, I think it's Mike, their friend, helping out and trying to solve this issue and be like, Hopper's in trouble. And then Bob just comes out. Bob, man, I love Bob. Bob's awesome. I mean, what did you think about the whole map thing and the context with the mum and like how that dynamic kind of works?
Yeah, I've kind of talked about it before, but with Joyce, like Alicia says, she has mom goals. And yeah, like the fact that she does anything for Will, like she would probably do the same for Jonathan, but the fact that she does literally everything for Will to try and make him feel okay, and feel safe, because she did lose him for like a couple of weeks in the last season. So it's to kind of get him back to what he kind of used to be, although he'll never be the same, or what he maybe would have been. And plus, it's not the worst thing to step above from tar letters on the wall with Christmas lights to now just this map of all of these drawings. I'm just surprised about how much paper and how much pencil crayon that might have taken to make all of the end tape to stick it all over the walls. But
did you notice that she taped some of this stuff over posters?
Yeah,
right. That was bugging me. I'm like, but you just taped all that over a perfectly good poster. Like, could you not poster down?
I think one of the notable ones was like Jaws or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that tape is not going to come off there cleanly. No.
Like a nice, pristine poster. Yeah. And yeah, with the posters, we get Bob reintroduced into this episode. And she's like, I can't tell you what all of this means, but you have to try and figure it out. It's like, how am I supposed to solve a puzzle without getting the pieces, kind of thing? And
I need the context, woman. Stop being so mysterious. Like, it looks great. It's amazing. And my brain, like the D&D player or old school kind of game player within Bob, you can see his brain's like turning, like, okay, cool. Right. So can you kind of point me in what direction, what's happening here? Because like, I get what you're trying to do, but I don't know the actual points of what I'm supposed to be doing here. Just that poor guy is so confused, but he's going along with it so easily. He just seems to accept anything, which is basically his character. He is basically a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like poor Bob. But he kind of figures out, or is able to interpret Will's drawings as an underground map of Hawkins that doesn't go near water, which they're like, okay, which kind of leads us to near the end of the or leads us back to Hopper, who's in the middle of these streets, or whatever you could say, tunnels, and he's trying to figure out exactly what to do. He starts lighting them. The inside start to like freak out. They're like, they start screeching and stuff until he gets tangled in them, and he gets kind of tangled up in that for pretty much until Joyce finds them, once they realize that there's a specific spot where probably Hopper is, because Will senses things.
Can I ask something for you? Not necessarily remembering that kind of era. How does it feel for you watching those scenes where Hopper's basically about to get suffocated by all the tentacle what's-its, right? And they are slowly, in their own kind of 80s time, trying to figure out what's going on, where he is, and stuff like that, and not having necessarily the technology that maybe we're all used to locate him, to find him. Like, does that heighten the sense of urgency or distress for you when you're watching it? What emotive response does that create for you?
It seems like it's kind of what those shows are meant to do, or like how it's meant to be, is because obviously they don't know. Like, I feel like if there was a similar show set pretty much now, we would have a similar almost experience trying to find somebody who's underground, because of course, unless somehow, some way that in the upside down version we'd still be able to track people on like GPS, maybe it'd be a little bit different, but I feel like it'd be pretty much very similar in that idea also, because it seems like they're not able to kind of have as much technology. Obviously, when we get to the lab, they have technology underground that seems to work, but for the everyday type of person, probably not.
Yeah, because there's a significant difference between the analog technology that they had then and now with our digital technology. But you're completely right. If this was set just now and we were like 20, 30 years in the future, people your age then would find it hard to cope with stuff that we're using now to locate a person or to find someone. Or so yeah, there is that. There's one thing I also wanted to ask. Did you notice that the tentacle monster / demogorgon does not like certain earth elements? So it goes around water, right? It doesn't go through water. It doesn't like fire. I'm not sure about the whole wind aspect. Earth doesn't seem to be a problem. It's a virus, so it infects. Actually, no, that might be completely why it doesn't like fire or water. Water cleanses, so does fire. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It seems like it's avert to other aspects besides it, like the beings, like the demogorgons and stuff, like they're able to be out in air, but it's the more thing that it deals with. And it's not surprising too that this comes later, but Will feels like a lot of the pain when they start to flame up these tentacle things in his chest first. It's like, I wonder why.
Well, if it's a virus, then I know we're skipping ahead here, but if it's a virus, then he's inhaled that virus. It's an airborne virus. It's infected his lungs, and then it's spread into the blood system, and then enclosed around the heart and up through the brain. And then there's this. As the doctor says later on, it takes over the host. It uses the host, and the only difference is it's communicating with said host, which creates an amount of horror, because this unknown being is essentially talking to you, and you know you're probably going to die, and it's taunting the hell out of you, making you do certain things, etc. But that would also explain why it doesn't like fire, why it doesn't like water. Those things are used I can't even speak. Used normally to get rid of a disease or to cleanse. Yeah, like Fandom D saying like kind of exorcist style, but not as male. Well, to be fair, season 3 will probably roll around. I'll probably get a bit more gory. I don't think we'll have projectile like vomit happening, but we need to call Rev Run. That's right, Fandom. That's probably what we need to do. But it has this kind of very. It's a virus that has a very human-like consciousness in a way. Like, this is painful. Stop doing that. And it's playing games and it's doing this, that, and the next thing. Anyway, sorry, I just derailed us slightly.
No.
Back to Hopper being
Smothered.
Tentacles. I want to say I want to drop in a tentacle porn joke here somewhere, but I just
All tangled up,
all tangled up.
Yeah. He's dealing with a lot too, because he also has 11 on his mind because he's left 11 by herself after their big fight the other episode. So he's dealing with that and all this other shenanigans. So being caught up in the Upside Down is not ideal.
It definitely changes one's life's perspective.
Yeah, and basically Will figures out where Hopper might be, and Joyce and Bob and Mike all go to the pumpkin patch, which was a big thing in the last couple of episodes, and they find Hopper. But in that process as well, we see the science labs just deciding, hey, let's just burn all of this tentacle stuff in another location, but very similar. And Will basically has some form of a seizure, and that's not good.
Yeah, the Demogorgon's basically holding him hostage. That's a hostage situation right there.
And yeah, it's the dynamic between Hopper, Joyce, and Bob is always interesting to watch because A, they're adults, and B, because they all went to high school together. So it's just like the weird thing of meeting up with people who you used to go to high school with and just having a conversation slash like going through this experience together. Obviously, because Bob doesn't know anything because they all signed NDAs, basically, that he doesn't know as much, while Joyce and Hopper know everything. So it's that dynamic is always interesting to watch, especially between Bob and Hopper.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, there's also a note where there's a kind of splitting of a trope, or at least getting rid of that, where like all these people who went to high school together are all like kind of having like a menage a trois type deal,
Mm-hmm.
where most people are expecting Joyce and Hopper to have a thing, and then Joyce to be like, and Bob, and then and some weird kind of, and it is like that, but it's more of a friendship sort of love, and a love through the situation that they're in, rather than a romantic love, which I actually really like. I love that that's how it is. But Bob is the nice guy. He is the quintessential good guy. Like as Alicia said earlier on, Samwise has got the good guy thing on lock. Absolutely. And I love that trope's kind of shunted to the side, because we don't really need to see a lot of, this show isn't a romance. It isn't anything like that. I mean, there is, but from a teenage perspective, through going through puberty and stuff, like having those experiences, they are all valid. They're part of like the Stephen King's universe, and stuff that we see from the 80s. That's a kind of trope that happens. But I like that it has it, but it distances itself from it. So there's like a change between the kids, the teenagers, and the adults, and then like the older people. The older people just seem to either be really, really evil or incapacitated in some way. I don't know whether that's a social commentary on something or not. Would you agree?
Maybe. I also think that it's subverting maybe the whole idea, because this goes into episode 6 with the whole idea of the shared trauma thing between Jonathan and Nancy. But it could build to something like that, because like I think AK was pointing out in the chat, everybody who's named with B doesn't end, their story may end very badly in this show. So if we do lose Bob, which may be sad, but he's one of those people where we might lose that, maybe they're like end game, as because Johnny asked about Jopper, or it's like an end game sort of kind of thing. And he predicts that Joyce and Hopper will get married in season 3. So, that may be interesting.
I mean, that would be cool, because that would mean you're joining a couple of families together. It's not only joining Joyce and Hopper together, but you're joining living in with that family, because Hopper's obviously kind of adopted her, and then whoever else is kind of in that circle. Whether it works out or not, I'm not sure, but probably the end of season 2 will probably force that. So I think Donnie's on to something there.
Yeah, it'd be nice though, because and just cute at the same time, because they're both like Hopper is very protective of Joyce, maybe because of the fact of her past relationship is just so shitty or otherwise. But he likes to take care of the kids, and that was his whole mission basically during the first season, was trying to find Will, and he ends up looking for 2 kids. So, and these 2 kids are people that he really cares a lot about. So it's it's entirely possible at this point that that would happen. It'd be very sweet as well, kind of like you get like 3 sweet relationships kind of coming up. But yeah, just the whole thing with these 3 is just it's a dynamic that is cool to watch, like you were saying, that they went to high school together and they've had like conversations and stuff, but they're all friendly still. Yes, they could have one of them, maybe Hopper, show more signs of, say, jealousy, but he doesn't seem like he's that kind of person. Like, because he's more of that cool dude and trying to play cool because of his voicemail of like, "Hi, it's Jim. I'm doing something very awesome or cool right now. Leave a message." Like stuff like that just makes him seem like much more fun. And like for Joyce, I feel like she needs someone who's just like safe and away. She feels like this right now, that she needs someone who's safe but who is also away from all of this. And Bob was maybe the easiest person to pick out of that bunch, and plus who knows how many people from their class are still in Hawkins, or maybe just like 5 people. And it's all the parents and like so whatever. So but yeah, in kind of talked about the stuff from episode.
Do you want to have a little talk about Dustin's pet?
Yeah, but first we'll just shout out some people who are joining us with the chat. Alicia Kingston, who's been on a lot of these. Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, she calls. I don't know if you saw it, Lauren, but she calls Will budget brand or discount brand. So yes, there was some discount branding in these 2 episodes. Terry T.
I agree with that. Actually, that's a really good analogy. Yeah, I agree with Alicia on that one. Discount brand.
I called them budget brand at one point. It's actually kind of funny. Bobby Catalano. I know Jordan Jedi was here. Sasuke was here. I think she hasn't watched this, so she just stopped by for a quick second. Jordan Jedi, let's see. Mikey 2697. Yeah, the people who joined us, thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday with us.
And to anyone who's watching later, thank you for rewatching and making time for this.
Yeah, it's an important series to rewatch, especially before the new one comes out, because to go back. Yeah, so what are you saying with Dustin? Oh yeah, Dustin and
Dustin's pet.
Yeah. So we get Dustin's pet, which in the last episode Dart or Dargarian or Dartarian, sorry, killed the poor cat Muse, the ginger cat. I felt a little bit of like ouch, because it's the ginger cat that always bites the dust. And basically Dustin's trying to figure out a way to distract his mom, because his mom is looking for this cat, and he's like, "Oh, the cat was seen like in this neighborhood." And she's like, "Why would it go all the way there?" So then she's out of the house to kind of get Dartarian or Dart out of the house.
D'Artagnan, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, D'Artagnan. There you go, man. Out of the house, and he teams up after getting him in the not cold storage, like in a cellar. He teams up with Steve, which I know fandom like one knows that this is funny because he says Dustin does nothing wrong. Steve and Dustin is a fun relationship. But yeah, hold on.
I love the man talk, right? So basically Steve like decides to have this man talk with them and basically calls him out on, you kept an interdimensional like killing pet just to impress a girl, and Dustin's like, because they're cool. And my brain's like, you think they're cool, but she might not. You kept it for you, not really to keep the girl, right? And then Steve has this talk about, the whole man talk about how to keep a woman, how to get her interest. Like, it's that treat them mean to keep them keen thing. And I'll just straight up be like, I hate that stuff, right? Trying hard not to swear right now. I really hate that kind of thing, but he's not entirely wrong. Many people experiment with this technique, and he's not entirely wrong, at least from that kind of era. I think it still kind of works today, but like, I think he's being this manly, like, heart to heart with them, and then basically flips that, and Dustin's like, well, but not everyone can have fantastic hair like you do. And then Steve's like, well, man, I'll let you in a secret. So you use this conditioner where your hair's damp, not wet, damp. And like, I love how he's so precise about it. You have to do it when it's damp, not wet. And then you put some of this in it and this, and then you do the Farrah Fawcett hairspray. And Dustin's like, Farrah Fawcett? And he's like, Steve's just like, you tell anyone, you're in the grass, right? You're dead meat. And it's that kind of weird masculinity issues that are coming up as well. Like, you need to look good, but you're having to use like Farrah Fawcett hairspray. And then they both kind of agree with themselves. Like, Farrah Fawcett's kind of cool, by the way. She's hot. She is hot. And there's Alicia Kingston. Steve spends more time on his hair than Nancy does, guaranteed. Yep.
Yeah, Steve, like, it. I guess because they had to have him come back in some sort of fashion, so they're like, "Hey, you get to go and hang out with Dustin for a bit." And he's probably like, "Oh, great!" Kind of like a whole thing, because he's kind of, because we see that with Lucas when he finds out that this is happening. But yeah, the ferret faucet and the ferret faucet spray, that just like makes it over the top, but also another connection to a popular icon of the 80s. So it's like, hey, there you go. Nice callback. But yeah, they go on an adventure to the junkyard. I forgot it takes that long to get to the junkyard. But yeah, they have a nice conversation about girls and how to get the girls, because it seems like Dustin doesn't have like
You still there, Sasa? You're breaking up a little bit.
And yeah, and because we all know that he's talking about Max, but obviously Steve doesn't know he's talking about Max until he kind of meets Max in episode 6. But yeah,
my other thing, sorry for interrupting you, about that scene as well, is where did they get all the meat? They're walking down the train track, which I know is another Stephen King reference as well. And they're just playing. They've got big like tubs of meat. Where did they pinch that from?
I think maybe the below. I guess it was to start over. It's just the dynamic of like the older brother that Steve kind of gives off for Dustin. But I think in terms of where they got the meat, I feel like Dustin's mom probably has like I guess it was bologna or something like in the fridge. But she probably, even though probably it's not Costco, but she has like the club packs of the bologna meat, because that's probably what Dustin went to school with every day for lunch. So that's probably why. in terms of the buckets of meat, I feel like they probably went to like the butcher or something, and Steve probably bought all of this meat because try and get
Steve
some.
trying to be a legend.
Yeah, probably like because it's like a small town, so they might have went. The grocery store might seem like a little bit too awkward because it was buckets, so it probably was like a butcher of some sort. Maybe because it wasn't like it describable meat. It seemed like it might have been like a steak or pork of some sort, but
Listen to us talking about the minutiae of this meat.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of farms, and maybe some. Yeah, probably there's farms near Hawkins, but yeah, because not Dustin, Lucas brings up because he said I said medium well, in the end, but yeah, their conversation's nice, and the fact that they're just throwing this meat everywhere. It's like, I guess they're just waiting for the fact that this will show up.
Totally normal, absolutely normal what they're totally doing.
Yeah, they just wear the rubber gloves and just throw meat everywhere. It's like, you don't want flies? Here you go. Just don't follow us. Yeah.
But you want to talk about 11/Jane?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So yeah, we get 11 in this. Not very much. I think she plays more into the next episode. But 11 goes to Terry's house, which we got introduced to her in the seventh episode of last season, which is her biological mom and her aunt's house. And she kind of gets to know this woman who gave birth to her, but she saw her in visions a couple episodes ago. And this is probably very hard for 11. And she's dealing with not only Hopper kind of rejecting her, so she has to run away, but now she's going to this new place. Oh, bye, Johnny. Yes, see you next time. And we'll be talking about the 3 episodes. And yeah, she's dealing with a whole bunch, and she's trying to figure out as well how to deal with her mom, because she doesn't know exactly what's going on with her mom, but her mom is repeating very short words, which comes into kind of in episode 6. But yeah, it's hard to kind of watch that, like someone in a not a fully catatonic state, but in a state where they don't really know what's going on.
Well, it's actually in episode 5 that all this kind of goes down, and that she gets to discover that her mum has this kind of a shared power with her, or her power kind of originates from her mum in some way. And we see the lights flickering in the house, and the aunt's just like, oh, it's just the house is haunted, but 11 knows better, and she follows it right through her mum, gets her aunt to help her set up this kind of meditation where she can connect with her mum. And when we go into this kind of flashback into the mother's mind and seeing the mother about to give birth, she's bleeding out, she's in the hospital, she's put under, and she's given a C-section, which are gruesome is by 80 standards, because it's the big cut, it's not the small T cut near the pelvis like they do now. And they take the baby away, but she hears the cries, and her sister doesn't believe her afterwards. And when she wakes up, they anesthetize her, they basically just knock her out. And she goes on this mission trying to find her daughter. And she gets a gun. The words that she's repeating are the combination to the safe, and then how to get into the building and then what room. Discovers her daughter and this other girl, which comes back later into the series. I think it's episode 7. And she's then discovered, and then taken into a room where they perform electroshock therapy at a high voltage at 450, which is deadly. Will completely incapacitate a person, and by even mental health standards back then was greatly it was still used, but it was also criticised. It was so hard to watch because I've done quite a bit of research on like mental health institutions and stuff like that in the past, and just seeing that happening to her was absolutely unbearable. Papa, this guy is just wiping her brain, making it so she can't talk, she can't do anything. She's basically imprisoned in her own body. Her mind is still there, but physically she cannot move. Her brain synapses and waves, everything that's connected is total shocked and fried. I mean, they used to do this to people that they thought were different to society or deviant, to make them placid and to make them compass mentis and send them home, but the people, their families, be like, what's happened to them? And that's how the electroshock therapy got taken out. But I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. And Jade, or 11, gets to find out this is what's happened, and it all comes together for her. And it was really intense to watch. I love how they made it a repeat scene, and you can see where the mother's been in her mind just constantly like that for what 12, 13 years, however old 11 is. I mean, how did you feel watching it? What was going through your head?
It kind of like it seems like once we realized like who Terry was and that she would only repeat certain words that we would see them eventually. I just thought we were trying to figure out how we would get to that point. I know bringing in 11 was maybe the easiest slash smartest way that we could do this, and we all kind of know that the whole C-section and baby thing that Terry's sister was saying in the last episode was that the baby had died after birth, and that all of there was the complications, but she didn't believe it. Obviously, she has mother's intuition, and she's like, no. And it's the fact that her daughter was taken away from her, because I know me and AK have mentioned it, like the fact that her daughter's taken away from her. She had tests done to make herself this way with the hyperbaric chambers and the salt water. Like there was that testing that was done, and what do mad scientists want? They want their creation, and sometimes they just mess up, and they removed Terry from that situation, and it's just heartbreaking that the fact that she never got to have her daughter in her life, and that there's the same room, and when 11 walks into that room and knows that this was the room that was meant for her and how she would be raised, it's sad. And yeah, the girl that is in the room with 11 when she's a small child, she was in the first episode, but she's coming back and she has 8 written on her wrist. And I feel like for Terry, those specific words of rainbow, left, right, and then like those certain numbers, and can't remember what the other ones are, but those are what kind of are foretelling of that journey that she had to go through. Breathe, oh yeah, breathe is in there as well. So it's that story of kind of 11, like as much as she remembers of 11, but they're bits and pieces that kind of keep her with 11. And when 11's trying to connect with her, and you see Terry's nosebleed, it's like, yeah, that's where like 11 really kind of maybe gets that from, because seemingly number 8 doesn't do that as well. And Alicia said that Terry is on par for mom goals as Joyce, and that they both go hard for their kids, and that she hopes that Terry comes back in season 3. Yeah, I can attest to that, because hey, you gotta have some mom goals. You can't just be like Karen Byers just sitting on the phone and being like,
oh, don't even get me started. Don't like, I put notes about that. Like I think it was for like episode 6 or something like that. I put notes down. But you can say that for most of some of the other parents, is they don't care. But there was something else I wanted to point out. Look at the difference in times between where Terry gets her mind wiped and everyone else just gets an NDA, right? This is a government thing. She gets her mind wiped and everyone else just gets a non-disclosure agreement, you know, right? That they could have been just taken off. Well, sure, we wouldn't have a TV show, but they could have just been taken off the map and no one would really know. They'd spin some sort of story, things like that. I think that shows a different set of philosophy in dealing with these things, being such a big issue. But then you have to again ask, would it be easy to be rid of all these people that know and are heavily involved in everything versus one person? So there is that. But yes, most of the parents don't give two poops about their children or what they're doing in the 80s. They really don't.
Yeah, well, we're just getting kind of introduced to Lucas's parents, so they're just like, and his little sister, who's
My god.
But yeah, we already know that whatever, I can never remember Mr. Byers' first name, but you know, he's been mentally checked out for probably ever since Nancy's been born. So yeah, it's just like not to deal with him. And like Karen's trying. She's like has to be like the representative of the mother that was in the 80s. That's not like Joyce or Terry. So
I think his name's Tom or something like that.
Something. Yeah. Alicia will probably mention it because you know.
But the mom on the phone just being on the phone for 2 hours, like looking like the businesswoman, and the dad can't even be bothered to answer the door. He's just like, leave me alone. I've had enough of her. And Lucas's little sister, yes, she's hilarious, but wow. Like just the setup, and the mum's just like, nicely, that's enough setup now. And the daughter's just like, watch me.
Yeah, with the Mrs. Butterworth.
Oh yeah.
Which is the fake maple syrup. Don't worry, we use fake maple syrup sometimes.
That's a stamping down the line here on maple syrup.
Yeah, I've never had Mrs. Butterworth. I've had like other versions of that. Like it was called Aunt Jemima. But yeah, the little sister's so funny. Yeah, like Terry, she does like Alicia's saying Terry may have like a sixth sense about 11. Or sense about 11, sorry. And that she knew that 11 was still alive. I feel like that's Terry's whole motive. That's maybe the reason why she's still alive.
Yeah.
Not like wanted to like give up the fact that she has her daughter out there and she wants to be reunited in some capacity with 11.
I mean, I can attest to the whole mother's intuition thing. It's a very strong thing. Like, you know, when you have your own baby, you know exactly when your child's crying. Child can be in a room full of other kids, and you can have 2 or 3 of them crying. You know exactly what one is yours. You know why they're crying, whether they want fed, changed, etc. You know whether they're distressed, they're pain, they're hungry, or a mixture of all of them. That intuition is hardwired into you, and you, even if your child's hurt and they're somewhere else, you will know. Like, you will definitely know about it. Even if you can't figure it out, it will click in eventually, because you'll go through, oh, maybe it's this person or maybe it's that person. But even you can make that connection with other people that are not your blood. So no, I can see, like, if it was me and I was in that situation, I would probably hold on to. Like, if you're a fierce mother, if you're proud and you love your kids, like, you will do that. I mean, I'm not saying every mum can do that. We're all human at the end of the day, but there are mums like Joyce and like Terry that will do absolutely anything for their children, even if they have to sit for a decade and a bit, till they finally get to see their child again and fight for what they love and what they believe
in. Yeah, like everybody say, like Terry T says, it's very true. It's such a mom thing. Yeah, like I can imagine they got the whole thing. Yeah, and it was Ted. That's who we were trying to figure out. I have to remember that it's Ted.
I know it was a T.
It's Ted. Ted Wheeler. Ted Wheeler. Yeah. Yeah, in fandom, yes, we were talking about maple syrup not that long ago. Yeah. I'll probably have to bring maple syrup at one point.
Bring the maple syrup that comes in the ironic but still nationalistic maple leaf jars.
I'll try. I think we don't have it here, but we probably have them at the store. Yeah, we'll have them at the store.
I will have my maple syrup in a squeezy bottle. I don't care if it's fancy or not.
It usually comes like if you want table syrup, which is like Aunt Jemima, Mrs. Butterworth, whatever, like the ones that are in like the squeezy tube.
Hear the disdain in your voice that that's not actual syrup.
It isn't, because it's not. There's no actual like syrup in it. It's just flavoring. And the difference is like the table syrup is like sticky, like it's thick, compared to actual maple syrup where it's more thin and runny. So that's how you can usually tell the difference. Even though something's labeled as maple syrup, it's not maple syrup.
Lady Laura Dane's Starfall just also bring the Tim Hortons coffee. So usually I'd be like, yes, bring me Tim Hortons, but Scotland now has Tim Hortons stores, so I don't need that. So we're good. Just
Tim Hortons coffee.
Just a wee bottle of maple syrup, and I'll be good.
Yeah, yeah, maple syrup, and that's all you need. Maple syrup, and yeah, there's so much stuff that we have that's like so good. But they don't. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, Dustin's sister. Well, we can talk. Not Dustin's sister, Lucas's sister. Because this is. I think this goes in. No, it's in this one. Lucas is trying to find some way to apologize to Max, and he asks his dad and mom for advice on how to apologize to the ladies. And his dad basically says, no matter what the fight is, your brother's always right. And Lucas is like, all right. And then the little sister, who they cast her very well, because it's probably hard for some child actors to kind of probably play off like the ha ha na boo boo kind of thing, because they did really well with the child actors. And she's just like squeezing the syrup. I don't know if she was struggling before and that's why it took her forever to kind of get the syrup out, or it's just she just wanted like a mountain of syrup on, I guess, pancakes.
Would you like some pancakes with your syrup in?
It's like you want double the syrup for your pancakes?
Why just want to drink it, or like, because that looks like it was to me. I like, if it was me and I was her mother, I would have just took the bottle off her. But it is that time. But I do love that like Lucas turned around to his dad and went, Dad's like, yeah, your mum's always right, the woman's always right. And Lucas is like old enough and mature enough to be like, even when you think they're wrong. And then the dad's like, your mum is always right. And then you buy her whatever the hell she wants. And the mum's like, isn't that right, honey? I'm like, come on, what kind of relationship is this?
Yeah.
But it's funny as well, because you put that in contrast with the talk that Steve had with Dustin about treat them mean, keep them keen. But when you're married, that reverses round. It's like, no matter what argument you get in, you're in the wrong. Just give her all the presents and that shuts it up, and you're in for like every dad and man in the situation just wants peace and quiet.
Yeah, especially like if there's like riding around and being like, well, blah 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 blah, blah, like the chatter and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's sound advice. I don't know if it is like lasting advice for Steve, but it also there's that contradiction, which is funny to deal with. Yes, maple syrup for everybody.
Everybody, like, Sasa is going to get stopped at the border with her parents, just with a truck with the boot is just full of maple syrup cases.
Yeah,
like to end up at the corner and be like, you get maple syrup, you get maple syrup, you get a bottle, you get.
Yeah. Yes, New York. That's how it usually is. It's more thin. The table syrup, the one that they label as maple syrup, is thicker. just to be fun. But it's more thin than normal. I keep saying syrup. I have to order some IHOP. Do it. Especially get waffles. Waffles for 11. Vanity Saint.
I don't think I've ever been to IHOP. I may have at one point when I was younger when we were traveling in the States, but I can't quite remember. But waffles is definitely on my agenda for Nashville. Somebody has to.
Yeah, I feel like there is some around there. But yeah, well, International House of Pancakes. But yeah, and then Lucas goes to the arcade where we see that Dig Dug is out of order, and that he has a conversation with Max about the fact about Eleven's story and how Eleven came to be in their circle. But at the same time, we get Billy for 5 minutes, which I don't know about Billy anymore. And yeah, we get Billy, and then Max doesn't believe anything that Lucas is saying, which is understandable. If you were like, you're just new to town and all of a sudden you're being told this outlandish story about how there's a girl that showed up out of nowhere, has these special powers that can kill people, flip cars, all of this other thing, and that another person got taken into this magical version of what your life is. And like, I'd be kind of like Max. I'd be like, yeah, sure, show me, and then I'll believe it, which leads into them going after Dustin and Steve. What do you think about Max? Because I know that was a question that Johnny.
Okay, so Max. Let's talk about Max. Obviously, Max doesn't believe anything Lucas is telling them, and most so because she's been left out of the group. She wants to be part of the group, but they're like, no girls allowed, and then there's like this kind of weird fight between the boys and who gets Max, like who gets dibs, and then nobody gets dibs, and she likes Lucas a bit more. And Lucas is like, I can't tell you anything, they'll be breaking the trust of the group, and blah, blah, blah. But then eventually, after a conversation with his dad, sets up this meeting in the arcade, and he tells her everything, and then she's like, this is funny. Like, she was like, this will probably be one of my only swear words, bitchy as fuck. Just absolutely not believing him. Thinking it's funny, and he's totally serious. He's like, listen, I would not be telling you this crazy stuff if it wasn't true. It comes to the point later on where he's like, listen, I wish this wasn't true, right? And he's deadly serious, and she's not taking any of it on board, which is it was really a big problem. But you can see why she is that way. I think she could have been a bit more open, but I like the fact that she actually sat down to listen to him instead of like running right out the door. But she's like, you're a stalker, this is creepy, blah, blah, blah. And she's pretty much valid in all those points. I mean, she's a very skeptical and cynical person. But I think it worked out how it came together. I just felt really sorry for Lucas because he's pouring his wee heart out. He's trying his best. It's just not working for him. How do you think it could? Do you think he could have done it differently to make it go better, or?
I think he did it pretty well. You're trying to tell an impossible story to someone who doesn't believe you most of the time, and also calls you stalker when you're trying to be friends with them. Yeah, like AK said, she didn't believe him, but she eventually saw it with her own eyes. The spark with Lucas and Max was always there. Dustin honestly never had a shot. Yeah, I could see that. And I think me and AK and I think BBM talked about this. I don't know if Johnny was on that one or not. But we talked about how the fact that they haven't really touched on a interracial relationship in this show. And they also haven't really touched upon a a LGBTQ representation in this show. So if they represented in Max and Lucas, that would be an interesting dynamic for the show to go into. I know it probably didn't happen in the second season, but for it to kind of involve in the third season would be interesting.
I think that might actually work with the timeline and the different eras they're going through, different eras of acceptance, and because the kids don't see any of that as being different or unusual, like they're all just kids together, with more or less the same kind of problems. For an LGBTQ kind of representation to be brought in, I think that would be great for the third season, because it's where it becomes a bit more at the forefront. We might see a change in one of the main male characters, or someone, or maybe Max's brother. Max's brother really, the stepbrother, really gives me some vibes, and I'm not sure about it. But it maybe be him. I could be wrong, but I think it would be right for them to bring that into season 3. It'd also be good timing within our culture right now, because there's a lot more talk about that. I talk about identity and gender and stuff like that. And with shows like Pose being at the forefront of great television, and I mean that, you have to watch Pose. I'm not going to stop telling you need to watch Pose. Everyone should watch Pose, right? Seriously. But yeah, I think that would be a great step in, and to deal with both those issues at the same time, and really hit home with it, and maybe mix it in somehow with what's going on with the Upside Down, and just it's because I think this season's more kind of mental health based. I see a lot of that in there, as well as dealing with different sets of families, reconstituted families, separated families, families that have where the mum or the dad's left just for because they can. You know, I'm not giving two craps about who's left behind, that type of thing. But yeah, I think season 3 would be a good way to go for that.
Yeah, because they haven't addressed, like they haven't like gone to that. Not that they have to check all of those, but it would be one of those things where it's like it'd be nice to kind of express that, because yeah, like Kay's saying, I think Billy has tendencies that he's running away from. We've talked about this before, but there was a reason why Billy and Max and their mom went they left California to go to the small town of Hawkins. And it could be because either Billy has been questioning maybe some sort of sexuality that he's dealing with, or something with Max, maybe, or a combination of a whole bunch of things. But yeah, they've kind of been dealing with that, which would be nice. And hey, Stephen Ryder, thank you. Yeah, we have we just talk about an episode at a time, kind of like a book club. It's fun, just kind of talk about different perspectives. But yeah, we can, if you want, we can talk about like the whole Steve and the kids. I call them the kids, even though they're the preteens, and that, or we can jump to Nancy and Jonathan, which it's very small. The Nancy and Jonathan storyline between these two episodes.
So let's just breeze past Nancy and Jonathan. They're on a road trip to Discovery and all this other stuff. They find the classical conspiracy nut in his shelter, and it really kind of reminded me of the recent Cloverfield film with John Goodman. I think it's John Goodman. I'm sure it is. And they're in this bunker.
Yeah.
And it's just the two of them and this guy. But it's just that style of it. But I love the guy's way of thinking is jazz and vodka. And then he totally razzing him up at dinner, at breakfast about them, about how was the pullout, and then all these discoveries about the tapes and stuff like that. They are conjoined adventure / kind of love relationships, something or other that's going on. That's their, as I was saying earlier on about the different stages of relationships between and how they're represented between the different age groups. So you got the kids, I call them the kids, and then you got the actual teenagers, young adults, and then you got the actual adults. So I think the representation in that was quite good. It's very tasteful as well. That's what I really love. I do quite have an issue with TV shows that are very gratuitous about these types of things. It doesn't need to be that. It can be very tasteful, and you still get the point. Like the whole thing still flows through nicely, and it's nice and sweet, and as it's meant to kind of be. You know, it's not like a dirty, get down and nasty 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing. It's nobody needs that. You know, keep it simple.
Especially too, like with Jonathan and Nancy Jancy, that wouldn't be kind of necessarily like a sex scene that befits kind of their characters / their personalities, because they're both kind of reclusive in a sense. So yeah, they didn't have to like see like the whole thing. I mean, like I think Johnny said it the first time Nancy takes her shirt off in front of Steve, that like if this was HBO or some sort of thing, she would have had to show everything. But because it is Netflix, not so much. But yeah, it's that funny thing with Murray. Murray is the guy that's involved with them in these scenes, and he just like sees through this BS that they're putting up, and he's like, of all of the things that you've told me today, I don't believe the fact that you two do not even have 1 ounce of feelings for one another. And it's almost like that they had to be told it by another person to kind of believe them and themselves, almost like they had to be like pushed back into the corner of, you both like each other and you just don't want to admit it to one another, kind of thing. And plus she's on a break with Steve, so it's not like she's cheating or anything, because they broke up a couple episodes ago after the party. So yeah.
I think that also speaks to a lot of social pressure in that as well, where like you see two people together, specifically a male and a female, and a young person, and they get on as friends and stuff, and somebody happens to pop in and go, "Oh, you two are cute together. I use a thing. You doing that?" But it sparks that intention and that thought in the mind, and then you think about it, and then you manifest it, and it becomes a thing. So technically, a conspiracy nut here is basically nudged them and played them in a way where they got on and did their thing. Whether that was an existing liking or not, but it probably was. But when you were young, the phrase share and share alike comes to mind. Everybody's kind of mingling with everybody, especially if you're in a small town. It's easy to get attached to certain people. So is it like Bob, Popper, and Joyce again? Like you've got all these people are very entwined with each other. And hi, Broken Birds, welcome. I just seen her pop in. Yes, you did make it. We're still live.
Yeah. Yes, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's and spending some time with us. Yeah, because even Murray, the conspiracy theory / newspaper guy, he even says like, "Why do you want to stay with the safe option?" Which he even is like, "Who's the safe option person?" And often like Steve, over having a fun like person, and Jonathan, almost. And
I think everyone's known or had a Steve at some point.
yeah, like yeah, I know people who've like had a Steve in their life, and it's just like yeah, Yeah, it'll be it. Yeah, the safe option, because that was her whole thing about that. Because they even had a conversation about the whole Nancy will probably end up being like her mother if she stays with Steve, because Steve will have the certain job, and then they'll have kids and live in the cul-de-sac. I feel like for them though that they never obviously acted on their feelings until episode 6, because of the fact that their brothers are like best friends. So that may be why they were always hesitant. It's like because we don't want to ruin potentially their relationship if something happens. But there's that thing of, at the same time, why would you rather put your own life or your own relationships on hold for another person? That's like, or they're like younger siblings, like that just doesn't almost seem that way. So it's like, if this relationship continues in the way that it does, and she doesn't just go back uh to Steve and like be like, oh, blah blah blah, that it'll be interesting to watch their relationship develop. Because like people were saying in the chat, when the mention of the pull-out couch was mentioned, and they were just like, ooh, that like they're still like trying to not obviously want to talk about it, because we haven't seen them talk about what happened. But once they do, like, maybe talk about that and where they stand with their relationship, that something maybe sweet will happen about it. Plus, in the chat, if you want, who are you on? Team Jonathan or Team Steve? I think I can probably figure out who everybody's team is. But yeah, it'll be
Lady Laura Dana saying it's been 91 degrees in New Jersey. Holy crap! That's Fahrenheit, isn't it? You guys do
yes,
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. Yeah,
So that's probably what 30, 31, 30 something degrees Celsius.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been pretty like toasty here as well. We've actually had thunder and lightning today. Like I was actually concerned earlier on because the lights were flickering in here. I was like, I need to turn everything off.
Yeah, like thunder is not very fun. Like we've had crazy weather like the last couple of days. Now it's sunny, but earlier it was like kind of rainy. So
It was that there was really heavy rain the other day there in Stirling where my uni is, and it was that heavy. Like the rain came up a couple of feet, and there was people doing the backstroke in the high street. Like I'm sure I shared a video of it. A couple of students were like sliding down the hill. It turned into their own personal water park. It was all the shops were wrecked. It was just absolutely crazy to see. There was an underpass that was completely filled. You could not see the stairs or anything. Just nuts, absolutely nuts. Anyway, we're digressing here.
no, it's okay. Like I suspected, a lot of people are saying that they're on Team Jonathan, which, hey, why not? Why not be on like Jonathan? And because, Jonathan actually wants to put his life together, and actually go into further education, while Steve's just like, I don't care. So Steve doesn't want to better himself, and
I think Steve has smarts elsewhere that are not necessarily academic or educational. I think he is more a practical, hands-on person that learns on the go. And there are people out there that do that are successful and haven't dropped out of high school, dropped out of university or college, and went on to do greater things, where other people have been through all the school and academic systems, received the highest awards and not go anywhere with them, and in fact being more suffocated by them. So I think we have two different people on our hands here. The light and sweet Jonathan, or the masculine Steve, the typical everybody. He's a bit of an ass, right? He has great hair, but he's got a really big heart of gold deep down. So I mean, I don't know I don't want to pick a team here, but I would probably biasly go with Steve for the now. But I don't know, Steve might have a redemption arc, or Jonathan might find his cojones and and go a bit further and surprise us. You never really know.
yeah. Alicia says Steve's I don't care persona works against him when it comes to Nancy. Yeah, because Nancy cares a lot, and
Yep.
she's just But I digress.
I agree with Alicia on that point. That is very, very true, and it does get you into. That's another reason I hate the whole treat him mean, keep him keen kind of mantra. That is a whole bunch of BS. It's not.
It's like stay away from that.
Yeah, it just gets you into trouble. So much trouble.
Yeah, Jonathan ain't no punk. Yeah, he's not a punky type of person. But yeah, they obviously have had their tumultuous not tumultuous relationship, but they've had fighting and stuff. But with Jonathan and Nancy, they leave Murray's house, and he gives them a bottle of vodka and a bottle of water to water it down. And they head back to Hawkins. So they went on a 2-day vacation. And that was so funny, though. I forgot to mention with them and the lady at the hotel or the motel, where she's like, "Do you want a single bed or do you want a double bed?" And they're like, "Double beds."
She just looks at them like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you two, and it's like, like, because it finally, I guess, because they had that talk with Murray, they're like, "Fuck it, why not?" But yeah, they go on their merry way back home. But they first call the parents, and Nancy says that she's with her friend Allie, which is not true. And they can't find anybody at the Byers residence to answer the phone because they're all at the hospital with Will. Yeah, because this is kind of where we get Will and more testing, and we see the effects of the sludges, not the sludge, like the slug thing that's potentially living inside of Will, and shit hits the fan when they decide, like, let's just look and see what's going on and have Will tell us what he knows. Because they took pictures, so they broke into the Byers, the government broke into the Byers residence and just started taking all these pictures, which even Jonathan notices because he sees an empty Polaroid cartridge and he's like, "I don't use Polaroids, so who was here?" And they sit them all out on the table at the hospital, and he's like, "This is the spot that we have to deal with." And everybody gets ready. Even Hopper, who's been bathed multiple times and is probably throwing up some slugs himself, has to go watch this. But before Hopper goes down, he tries to call for 11 on his walkie-talkie, and obviously no one answering. And it's really sad because Hopper's kind of lost his pseudo daughter, and you can see it in his face when he's like trying to call for her and see if she's there. Yeah, poor Hopper.
He's been super, super genuine as well. He's letting down all persona, and he's just like, "Listen, man, I'm so sorry. It's never been about you. Just everything's been going on. I'll explain it to you. I care about you a lot." I mean, that's one of the realest points you'll ever see from him. It's basically a thing when you've almost lost your life. You need to face up to the facts. You'll have regrets. You'll have things that you wish you didn't wish you didn't say, wish you didn't do. You want to take it all back, and you want to show that person that you appreciate them before it's kind of too late, type thing. And he knows it's getting close to that, or it's on the verge of that. But yeah, like, Hopper is a good dad. I just think he doesn't know how to deal specifically with being a dad. But the way he goes about trying to restore that faith is good. It's just a shame that she's not there to hear it.
Yeah, because she's off visiting Mama, not Papa, because stay away from Papa because the bad man that he is.
Papa is a psycho.
Yeah. But yeah, Hopper is dealing with a lot, and that was the whole thing of the last 2 episodes was lying and not being home on time, and the fact that he's been gone for so long. It pains him because that was his thing that he was trying to work on. But yeah, we see them all go. The workers in the hospital get suited up to go into the Upside Down, and Will's basically like he's coming, and a bunch of the scientists get killed because they pissed off I guess the Demogorgons or the Demodogs, whatever we want to call these.
They pissed off the D's.
Yeah. And it's not good because Will's like, you have to leave, you have to go because it's coming.
It's a trap, basically. Yeah. He made me do this. You know, you had pissed him off, you made him angry, and he wanted kind of a revenge, but you all need to leave now in case something happens. It's going to come back as 100-fold. Brace yourself, run for your lives, more or less.
Yeah, that's just scary. And that's even more like discount brand, like just run away, just leave me here kind of thing. Like when it's like almost like Theon and Bran in episode 3 of season 8. It's just like, you're a good man, now leave me be kind of thing.
Bran doesn't even tell anybody to run away. It's just like, just put me on the Godswood and you just play distraction. Like, I'll just sit here and maybe go have a little float about in the crows and do nothing. Like, anyway, different show, different technique. But I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, as AK says, fucking Bran.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there we see the Demogorgon kind of crawling up after having, or one of them at least, crawling up, and we get Hopper just looking down and be like, what the hell is this? But I think we missed one. Yeah. Get them in the lab, and that's just scary because like Hopper's like, shit. And we wait off to see what happens in episode 7 and beyond. But the last thing we kind of have to talk about is the junkyard, where we have the preteens or the kids, and we have with Dustin, but we also have Steve, and they are waiting for the Demogorgons or Dart to show up. And not just Dart shows up, Dart and all of his siblings or friends also show up at the same time. And what did you think about like this whole being shot at night with these Demodogs?
Well, we've got Steve, we've got Dustin, we've got Lucas, and we've got Max. Mm-hmm. And I actually, when I was writing my notes down, I wrote them kids, adults. So the kids' plan seems to turn out a bit better than the adults' plan. Where the kids are in a junkyard, they are setting up all this stuff. They're basically using their imagination to solve this problem, right? They're using the creativity, where the adults are using a sort of science and they're getting pulled into a trap. They're not really realizing what's going on here. They're both separate from each other, but they're both connected at the same time. I like it was shot at night. It has to be shot at night because that's kind of how the Demodogs kind of work. Their plan to trap them and kill them or burst them into flames is quite a good one, and how they organize. But when it's pretty obvious that they're not really taking the bait, Steve's like, I'll have an idea. Maybe they're sick of cow. And Dustin's just looking at him like, are you crazy? Are you absolutely off your rocker right now? And then I think he's about to go out, and then the Demodogs disappear, and I think that's kind of where it cuts at. I genuinely think that the kids have a way better plan than the adults do, and that says a lot. but I think that's because the kids' minds are a lot more open to certain ideas and creativity, and haven't actually had a lot of science or certain things hammered into them as of yet, as where the adults have grown up in a different sort of world, regardless of whether they're dealing with what they have now, but on a much larger scale. I actually quite like the shots panning back and forth between them, and I thought it was really, really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because we see after, because I think we come back and we see them, or at least Steve, trying to fight off the Demodogs, and they're like calling for Will and Mike and Hopper, anybody to enter, and no one's answering, and they end up trying to, I think they kill a few of them, or at least injure a few of them, before they get called away. And I think they get called away to then become part of the lab scene and killing all of those scientists. Hello, Otila! Angel's in the chat with us. Yeah, the Demodogs. They're scary. And I hate D'Artagnan because it ate Muse the cat. I wonder if we will see what Dustin will do when his mom finally wakes up and realizes that the cat's gone.
She knows that cat's gone. She doesn't really know that the cat's gone.
Yeah.
And as for D'Artagnan, I think didn't Dustin like knock him out and kill him and bury him or something like that? I'm sure he did.
D'Artagnan? No, that's the one that Steve because Steve, no, Dustin puts it in like a cellar.
Mm.
And then when he brings Steve along on this journey, then they go down a set of stairs and they realize that D'Artagnan's built up this massive hole in this basement. And that's when they go and try and find him. And that's when they go above ground. Yeah, he was put in a basement because he was being a bad dog, demodog thing. Yeah.
Actually, that's when the line is crossed, man. You were cute, you were awesome until you ate the damn cat. Come on, man.
Yeah. And then the poor turtle, like the turtle is just like, I'm gonna GTFO, like, because this thing, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna get as far away as I can, as fast as I can, because we don't know what's happened to the turtle. Maybe the turtle's dead. Who knows? But poor Muse.
Dun, dun, dun. It's a turtle mystery.
Watch, the turtle will show back up in like season 3 somewhere. It's hiding in like the closet or something. Yeah, I think that's it for these 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lauren, what did you kind of think about these 2 episodes? Kind of, and like, what would you like rank them? Final thoughts, all that kind of stuff.
I thought these 2 episodes linked in with each other very well, and indeed that's pretty much the whole season and the season beforehand. They're very good. The writers and Netflix are very good at linking all these together and making them. You can watch them individually, or you can watch them as just 2 episodes and then go on, and you still get the gist of the urgency and the storylines and the different issues that they're crossing, and it's really, really good. I mean, the whole thing with Terry really broke my heart. That really gets me. And then Lucas's sister being a little so-and-so, mind your own business, shut up, go away. Like, she's in there. And like the references to how parents didn't really care versus the parents that really did care. And then all the supernatural stuff was done really well. And like all the talk about masculinity and with Steve, and then the whole relationship aspect, they've all worked in really well. They've packed a lot into just 2 episodes. I think for episode 5, I would give it like a 7 out of 10, and the episode 6 would be about 7.5 out of 10. I'm being kind of realistic here because I know I've seen the whole season, but that's the rates that I would give them for that. But I hope that you enjoy the next couple of episodes and that you brace yourself for the final episode.
Yeah, I've kind of been trying to like wait because after this one we're gonna do some stuff. But let's see. For episode 5, it was called Dig Dug. So it can be, yeah, I feel like 7 makes sense. 7 Dig Dug drama moments. And for episode 6, probably the ominous omissions from Will, because it's like, or budget brand back at it again kind of thing, or discount brand. So what do you have coming up on your channel, Lauren, and what you got going on over these next couple of days and going into the next couple of weeks?
Well, I actually don't have much going on. I am actually prepping for Cylon of Thrones, which is right around the corner, and I'm just a bit headless trying to prepare things. As you can see, I'm not in my usual corners. I'm actually in my new craft room. I've turned my dining room into a craft room. Well, all my crafty stuff is in here, and I'm making things for different people. So I'm doing that. But on Tuesday, I will have an official book launch live stream if anyone's interested to show up for that. I should have my physical copy of my author's copy by Tuesday, so I can get to show you guys what it looks like in person, how thick it is, etc. It'll just be a wee short stream, and it might just be me. I don't know who else will be joining me. And at the con, I may or may not be interviewing Tony Teflon. It just depends how crazy it is. Obviously, it's my first time, so I don't know what everyone's schedule is going to be like, where we're going to be at. But if you're going to the con, I will be around somewhere. I will be wearing my kilt. I will be in the fighting pit. I will be running around, giving people hugs and being like just totally overwhelmed with everything. And then maybe after con, I'll be doing stuff with Justin Thomas. We're going to be talking poetry, and then Asking Questions season 3 will kick off at some time in August, and that's basically my plans. I know I'm a bit behind on some Game of Thrones content, but I needed a break after. I think everyone needs a break from that. But apart from that, that's it. It's book launch stream and Con of Thrones. What about yourself, Sasa? What you got going on? You've always got something going on.
Yeah, we have so much going on. I think next Wednesday, just so we're caught up for Saturday, we will cover the final 3 episodes on Wednesday night. So come check that out. It'll be so much fun at 8:30 Eastern. And we're going to be covering all those episodes at one time, which I don't know if it's a smart idea or not, but I feel like it'll be fun to kind of cover the back end because we've done 2 at a time, but because of changes, we've had to kind of squish all of them together. So then on the Saturday, we'll start with the first, I think, 2 episodes of season 3 and continue on. That Wednesday, I'm not sure if we're going to do a stream or not because heading to con and all that con prep. So if not, we'll figure that out as it goes, but let you know when it comes forth. But the other than that, always involved on Johnny's channel. I think he's should be doing maybe a stream or something next week, so we'll be on for that. We have Cylon Johns, which is Friday night. We'll be doing episode 3 of season 3. Lauren was actually on one of them before. It was very fun because she surprised us.
I just popped out of nowhere, man. I just dropped in. I was like the ghostly hand handing over Clarissa's drinks to her from the corner because Clarissa was here in the UK. She stopped by Edinburgh, and I came from my hometown to go meet her, and it was amazing. It's kind of funny that I got to meet Clarissa first here before meeting everyone else at the con. But she's amazing. I adored the shit out of Clarissa, and her mum's brilliant as well. They're such good chat.
Yeah, we have most of the panel for BSG or Cylon Johns will be there, minus Bobby and Clarissa because Clarissa was on her trip and she just got back, and then Bobby because Bobby is just couldn't make it this time. But yeah, we'll be going there. We'll be doing a live stream from Con of Thrones. You can also, I don't know if many of you in the chat know about this, but Johnny, myself, and Justin Thomas started a podcast called The Fandom 3. I will leave it in the description. You can right now listen to it on Anchor, which is the service we use for it. But where we are going to just every week talk about a certain topic, but also a show that or a movie, something that we've watched in the last little bit that's usually on a streaming service that you can find, or you can find it online, and go check that one out because we did The Art of the Critique, where we're talking about if you use IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and if they even matter. And yeah, we have a fun time over there. It's our first one, so go check that out.
And you can probably listen to it on Spotify as well. I'm sure there's a link that you can follow to go through and listen to on that.
That's the page, and you can listen to it on Spotify. We're trying to get to iTunes and stuff. It just takes a little bit. But before we officially
more final thing. While I'm at the con, I also will be doing small miniature interviews. I will be grabbing people and just be doing like quick 5-minute interviews, and they'll probably get uploaded. I don't know how many I'm doing. Again, people are so busy, but I'll try get into. I'll try fly by people's stream cameras as they're recording and the actual con itself and see what happens. But sorry,
no, it's okay. Yeah, we're gonna do a couple. I think we're gonna record for the podcast at con. We're gonna do a BSG from con. I think we're gonna do probably a couple live streams from con because we're all gonna be together. But before that, we'll just shout out the people who joined us today. We have Johnny B. Crazy, Fandom D. Saint, Alicia Kingston, Jordy Jedi, Lady Laura Dane, Otila Angel, Terry T. I think Bobby showed up at one point. Bobby Catalano, Sasuke. Let's see if I can scroll up. Someone named Lauren. Lauren's Corner. I don't know who that.
He's a weirdo. Absolutely a weirdo. Anyway, continue.
Broken Birds, Steven Ryder, Moni G. Let's see. Did I miss somebody? Let's see. If I missed you, you can yell at me in the chat or in the comments. Yeah, everybody who joined us today, I really appreciate it. So that we talked about it today, and thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us. And yeah, we'll have so much fun at con. I think it's now 12 days away or something like that. It's very it's like so close. It's like pretty close. So it's gonna be crazy. And yes, so there'll be maple syrup and all of that fun stuff. Yeah. So on Wednesday we will be talking about The Lost Sister, The Mind Flayer, and The Gate. And with that, anything else you want to say, Lauren, before we let these people go?
Hashtag pull out.
Yes.
I don't know. Thanks, guys. Hit all the good buttons below, and we'll catch you in the next stream. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.